That looks pretty good right there, y'all. So let's serve this up, shall we? So let's get a couple dumplings. Reach down and get some soup, some stew. A couple more dumplings on there. There we go. Look pretty darn good right there. What do you think, y'all? All right, let's try this out, shall we? Hey everybody, Mike Chavez here once again. Welcome back to my channel. And if you've never been here before, welcome. So today, raining, cold, calling for snow later. So I'm not cooking outside. However, let's make a pot of good old-fashioned chicken and dumplings. What do you think, y'all? Chicken and dumplings on a cold day. I got a good recipe from America's Test Kitchen with the big fluffy dumplings floating on top of the pot. A nice creamy broth with some carrots and celery and onions. This should be really, really good, y'all. I've made this before. I'm going to make it again. And this is going to be awesome. So y'all stick around. Check it out. I'll leave the recipe below, the ingredients. And let's do it, guys. Chicken and dumplings right here. Let's do it. Alright then, so this recipe calls for 5 pounds of whole chicken thighs. So these are whole bone-in chicken thighs with the skin on. We got a little bit of extra skin. We'll remove that. We want to keep most of the skin because we need the chicken fat that the skin's going to make. So I'm not going to take a whole lot off, just a little bit. Just the excess. Alright. So I got my Cosmos SPG I'm going to be using today. So we'll give these a little sprinkle. So we need to save the chicken fat for the dumplings. Alright. So I'm going to let these get happy. A little more skin there we can get rid of. I'm going to let these get happy. Let that seasoning soak in a little bit. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to get my vegetables cut up. Alright then, so the vegetables, we got a large onion, about 3 ribs of celery, about 3 carrots. So the recipe calls for 4 carrots, but we have 3. No problem. So what I'm going to do, cut them down this way, down the center. So we'll cut these carrots up in little half moons. Okay, celery, same way. Get them all. Cut it on up. These don't really need to be chopped super fine. Minced really fine. I mean, you know, we want them kind of small. Alright, next step in the process, we got our vegetables all cut up over here. Okay, got our chicken back up. So we'll come over here, we got our cast iron Dutch oven, the enamel coating. And we're going to go ahead, we got the heat on, about medium. I said add about 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil of some kind. We have avocado oil here actually. Alright, this is starting to smoke a little bit. So we'll take our chicken thighs, put them skin side down. Alright, we'll let these get brown. We'll take them out and put them on a paper plate. Alright then, so we got to cook this until it's kind of golden. And we'll flip it over. Put this other side. Then we'll take these pieces out and put the other pieces in. Alright then, so we got this other side browned up some. Take them off, put them on a plate. We'll let these cool a little bit and we'll pull the skin off. Put this chicken in here. Alright, we'll get this browned up and then we'll bring you back. Alright then, so we got the rest of this chicken browned as much as we're going to do it. Alright. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of butter. Get that melted down. Alright. Put our vegetables in. We got onions, carrots, celery. Alright, we'll cook this down, let it get kind of soft. It's going to take a few minutes. Alright. I'm going to take the skin off. Alright, we don't want to put the skin back in. Alright, so we'll let these vegetables get soft. Then we'll put the next ingredient in. It'll take about 7-8 minutes for this here. Make sure you scrape the bottom, get that fond up. Alright, bring it back when we're ready. Alright then, so the vegetables are a little tender. That's good. So, next step, 6 tablespoons of flour. We'll let this cook a little bit. Make a little roux. We want to cook this flour, raw flour taste out. So this will take a couple minutes. Alright, we got 4 cups of chicken stock over here. While that's cooking, let's see, we got some thyme, about a teaspoon of fresh thyme, a couple bay leaves, add a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, Alright, let's back over here. Alright, so we'll put a little bit of this chicken broth in here, scrape it. Alright, a little more. Just keep adding it, stirring and scraping. Get the heat up a teeny bit. We'll bring this up to temp, up to a nice simmer. Alright, get the rest of it in there. Alright. Put our bay leaves. Alright, so this is fresh thyme minced up. Quarter cup heavy cream. Go ahead and put the chicken in, nestle it down in there. Alright, got some accumulated juices come off the chicken. Put that in there. Alright. I'll let this come to a simmer. We'll turn it down and let this cook for an hour. Alright, so this is back to a simmer. Make sure the ain't sticking. Make sure that chicken's all covered down in there. So I'm going to turn this down as low as it'll go. Put the lid on. And we'll let this go for 1 hour. So I'm going to set my timer for an hour. Alright then, we got about 20 more minutes to go. But what you want to do every now and again, go in here and make sure that you're not sticking. It's a little bit. Give a little scrape on the bottom. Let's give this a taste for seasoning. Pretty tasty. Give it a teeny bit of salt. Fresh ground black pepper. Stir. Alright, about 20 more minutes. We'll pull this chicken out of here, let it cool, and we'll shred it. Alright y'all, so this has been cooking for an hour. So let's go ahead and shut this heat off. We'll get this chicken out of here. Also get the bay leaves. Alright, got both the bay leaves. Alright, chicken's out. I'm going to let this settle for a little bit. We'll get some of this oil grease off the top. We'll go ahead and get this chicken shredded up. Put it back in the pot. Then we'll make the dumplings. Alright. Alrighty then, so some of this grease has come to the top. We'll kind of skim it off a little bit. We don't want our chicken and dumplings too greasy. So what I'm going to do, now you could use 2 forks if you wanted to try to shred this chicken. I think the easiest way to do it, use a barbecue trick. We'll get us our white cotton gloves. And we'll put our Neutralite gloves over top of those. Alright, then we can just do it by hand. It's a lot easier doing it by hand. You don't want to burn yourself up though. So get all this chicken off of here. Try not to leave any bone behind, but bone fragments. Alright. So we'll go ahead and add the chicken back in. Give this a stir. Turn our heat back on, low. All right, let's get our dumplings made up. All right, for the dumplings, we have 2 cups all-purpose flour. We're going to add to it 1 tablespoon of baking powder. All right, tablespoon baking powder. And a teaspoon of salt. So we got some sea salt, but this is fine grind. So a teaspoon of salt. So 2 cups flour, tablespoon baking powder, teaspoon of salt. Let's get this mixed up. So now, milk. Recipe says use whole milk. Don't use low-fat milk, 2% or any of that. So we need a cup of whole milk. So in here, all right, 1 cup of whole milk. Then it calls for 3 tablespoons of the reserved chicken fat. So we got that here. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of the reserved chicken fat, and I'm going to put a little more just for a good measure. All right, now we want to put this in the microwave for less than a minute. We don't want to overheat it. Let's see what it says here exactly. About 1 minute. Stir until it's warm. Alright, so this milk is nice and warm. About 120, 24 degrees or so. So we're going to stir this into the flour. Nice dumpling batter. All right. Let that sit for a minute. We got our soup back up to temp. Make sure we're not sticking. Little ice cream scoop here. So we'll go ahead, get us a scoop. It says about golf ball size. Just float them. Try to leave space in between them. Alright, let me see here. Kind of separate them a little bit. We just don't want to put them on top of each other. So that should do it. going to make sure this is down as far as it'll go. Put the lid on. Alright. So we want to go about 15 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. And we should be ready. Hits 15 minutes, I'll go ahead and just let her rest for a little while, shut the heat off, and then we'll serve it up. Alright, y'all. See you in a bit. Alright, y'all. So this has been cooked for like 15 minutes. I cut the heat off and let it sit for about 10 minutes or so. So let's see what we got. Y'all ready? Alright. That looks pretty good right there, y'all. So, let's serve this up, shall we? So let's get a couple dumplings. Reach down and get some soup. Some stew. A couple more dumplings on there. There we go. Look pretty darn good right there. What do you think, y'all? Alright, let's try this out, shall we? Alright, y'all, here we go. Nice chicken and dumplings. Yummy. For my tummy. Let's see if you can see that good. Yes, indeed. So, let's see what we got. They feel nice and firm. Nice and hot. Y'all ready for this? I'm ready for this. I'm starving. Taste! Yes, sir. Old-fashioned chicken and dumplings, for sure. Nice. One more time. That's better than a pot pie right there. So I'm going to sit here, eat this bowl, enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make these. I'll leave the ingredients down below to see how to make it. Of course, watch the video. And we'll see y'all next time. Don't forget, there's more videos over here you can watch. And if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe. Alright, y'all. See you next time.